Thanks for watching. This clip was from our live video exclusively on odds.com. To see the whole video, click the link below. Get paid in full. All right, well, let's move to another sad sack team in the Bowling Green Falcons. Kent State, Bowling Green, Golden Flashes Falcons. That goes off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. Let's see what we're dealing with here from an odds perspective. Let's get over here right now. Here we go. Kent State and Bowling Green. Kent State opening up as 18-point favorites. That's moved to 20.5. Now, these are Bet365 openers. So anybody who's got, the live Vegas openers with Circa and those, please pop them in. Bowling Green, Kent State, this total opened up at 58. It's dropped down to 57. Kent State coming off a win, 27-23 win at home over Eastern Michigan. They continued where they left off last season. Went 5-0 in their last 5 against the spread last year, 4-0 straight up, and they've continued that. Their defense looked much stronger than last year. That was their big problem last year. They allowed just 302 yards to EMU. They held EMU to just 61 yards on the ground. We got in on Kent State early, and it hurt. I got in at -6, and you could have got in at -4 and got the push. I still thought we were going to cash. I just needed Eastern Michigan to make one stop. They held the ball for the last 5.5 minutes at Kent State in Eastern Michigan's territory, and didn't even have to bother kicking it, just downed it at about the 8 or 9 yard line at the end of the game. But their defense looks much stronger. Last year, they allowed 477.4 yards per game, 32.6 points per game. Dual threat, Dustin Crum went 21-29 for 219 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. He also ran 8 times for 35 yards. Bowling Green's coming off an ugly 38-3 loss at Toledo. And I came very close to backing Bowling Green in that spot. I'm very thankful I didn't. Of the 524 yards they allowed, 310 came on the ground. Expectations of an improved offense with quarterback Matt McDonald, Boston College transfer, fell apart immediately. He went 8 of 30 for 128 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. They held on to the ball for just 21 minutes. And Andrew Clare rushed 12 times for 37 yards and then got hurt. So the whole idea that Bowling Green was going to be improved was based on Matt McDonald and Andrew Clare and their offense being better. And now Andrew Clare looked bad, got hurt, and Matt McDonald had a terrible, terrible day. Let's start with John Ryan, Kent State, Bowling Green. Any move for you?
Well, one thing I want to mention with the MAC, there is a pretty good tendency. It's 60% blind that if you take favorites in the MAC of 14 points or more, and that's all there is to it. Since 2015, it's gone 68-46 with 4 pushes for 60%. Even the over is pretty good at 67-49 and 1 for 58%. And overall, straight up 111 and 7. So again, I think those data results for 5 years reflect that disparity between the top teams and the bottom teams in this conference. And when you have the bottom teams getting double-digit points, just like the Akron game, you just can't take them, and you can't take Bowling Green in this situation either. So for this reason alone, I would definitely be leaning towards Kent State in this game.
Kent State looked good. They looked good. I thought they looked good. Then they won that game much more comfortably than the score indicated, 27-23 against Eastern Michigan. Maybe not much more comfortably, but a little more comfortably. CMac, Kent State, Bowling Green. You got to move.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with the Golden Flashes here, and I got to get it right now at 20.5. I mean, Bowling Green, they couldn't run, and we were talking about how they need to get that run game going. 61 yards they had. McDonald's just, I don't know, he's horrible. But he's got to do well for them. I don't know. They look really bad. I'm glad I laid off that game too. Just a bunch of stats. The Bowling Green's 0-5. Their last 5 games, they give up 450 total yards, or 0-4, against the spread, conference games. And the other side, Kent State's 4-0 against the spread. Their last 4 road games, 4-0, falling a straight up win, all that stuff. So I'm leaning here. I'll probably make it official. Kent State minus 20.5.
Kent State minus 20.5. I mean, it makes sense. It makes sense.
Makes sense.
I'm going to pop this in here right now. It's one of those things where when I watched Akron, I thought that they did have a little bit of hope. I thought that they did have a little hope. And then when I watched Bowling Green, it was heartbreak, absolute heartbreak. right from the beginning. And even though Akron had that that onside kick not work out for them, they still what went down with Matt McDonald is now again we always talk about in NFL that you don't want to take too much out of week one, and that week two is that overreaction week, and this is week two of the MAC. Bowling Green can only get better and do better in this spot. You have to think so. Now they get to play at home. Dennis Garcia giving a final score of 42-10. Ben Sports picks 24/7s on Kent first half. Maxwell got in at 18.5. Marlon Z says Bowling Green has nothing. And Ben Sports 24/7 says Kent State first quarter and first half look really solid.